Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Watch Manila. Today we have a very special watch. It is the king of all Rolex watches, the Rolex Day-Date. The Day-Date can be seen on the wrists of some of the most powerful people in the world, in business and politics and so on and so forth. It is also often referred to as the Rolex President. This particular model that we have right now is the reference 18338. It has the factory diamonds on the lugs. This is Sig Suarez, and join me as we take a look at this beautiful and amazing timepiece. Now let's go to the unboxing. This Day-Date comes with a special box and case. So you look at this leather case with that Rolex belt buckle type of material. When you open it, you're presented with your President Rolex, and you take a look at that beautiful watch. When we put it aside, take a look under and you see a place where you can store a lot of things. So one of which would be your booklet, which contains everything you need to know. Let's just appreciate this case one more time and look at how elegant it is. Now let's look at the history of the Day-Date. The first Day-Date was introduced during the 1956 Basel Fair. It was the first watch to feature a date and a fully spelled out day in a watch. The Day-Date became Rolex's flagship model. Before its introduction, the Rolex Datejust was the top Rolex which you can buy. In fact, prior to 1956, the Datejust was sold only in 18K gold. The two-tone and steel models came out after the Day-Date was introduced. As the flagship model, the watch was only available in gold and in platinum. The Day-Date was updated in the 1970s as the models came out with a quick set function which allowed owners to adjust the date without rotating the hands past 12 midnight. Further, sapphire crystals were introduced. In the 1990s, the Day-Date was improved further with a double quick set function which allowed owners to set the day and the date through the winding stem. In 2008, Rolex introduced the Day-Date 2. The Day-Date 2 featured a 41mm case size. The production only lasted for 7 years as it was discontinued in 2015 in favor of a smaller 40mm case size. After the discontinuation of the Day-Date 2, Rolex revamped their lineup to simply indicate Day-Date 36 and the Day-Date 40. The Day-Date 36 is the classic Day-Date and the Day-Date 40 is the larger version. This is still the lineup of Rolex today. The question of many is that why is it called the President or the Rolex Presidential? People started calling it the President's watch after US President Lyndon B. Johnson was seen wearing the Day-Date during his presidency in the 1960s. Aside from President Johnson, Presidents Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump were seen wearing the Day-Date. Interesting to note as well is that Marilyn Monroe gifted President John F. Kennedy a Rolex Day-Date. Here in the Philippines, we've noted in our video Watches of the Philippine Presidents that President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo was seen wearing a Rolex Day-Date. Today, the term President is more attached to the bracelet of the watch, the bar nuggets like one. Now I'll walk you through some unusual Rolex Day-Dates which were produced. The first one is a Day-Date with an oyster bracelet. Yes, Rolex produced them. They produced oyster bracelets on the Day-Date and the clasps were also concealed. So you won't see so much of these examples, but there are existing. Another is the Day-Date prototype which sold recently as it was made out of stainless steel. As we know, the Day-Date is only made from gold or platinum. Another one is a Rolex Day-Date in a Pearl Master bracelet. Yes, not a President bracelet. the Pearl Master bracelet is one of those rare configurations which you could have with a Rolex, and Rolex put it out in a 39mm dial size. So not only do you have a Pearl Master bracelet, but also you have a 39mm Day-Date. Lastly, we have the Tridor Day-Date. The Tridor Day-Date is interesting because it looks like a stainless steel and yellow gold combination from afar. But when you look at it closely, you're going to see that it's actually made out of 3 gold mixtures of Rolex, which is the yellow gold, the white gold, and the rose gold. So that's what makes it a Tridor model. Now let's look at the watch. The watch size is 36mm. The gold dial is paired with the Roman numerals. The bezel of the watch is fluted, and notable as well is that this watch has no more lug holes on the sides. One of the best features of the Day-Date is that the clasp is concealed. It looks very clean and neat. In my opinion, the size of the Day-Date 36 is still perfect by today's standards. It's dressy enough for a formal occasion, but it's also sporty enough for your Sunday outdoor activity. As you would imagine, the weight of the watch is pretty heavy. Gold and platinum watches are by nature very heavy. Some will find the weight too much, but for me, it's still fine. It's very wearable, it's good on the wrist, it's easy on the wrist. Looking at how the watch fits on my wrist, it looks absolutely perfect. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's right there in the middle. Let's go to the reliability of the watch. I have never heard of any review discussing the reliability of a Day-Date. And there's a good reason for that. Rolex watches are reliable for the most part, regardless of the model. And the Day-Date is no exception. You can count on this watch to provide you with the accurate time always. Also, behind the sophisticated gold, you will realize that this watch is as durable as most Rolex watches are. The question now is, why will you buy a Rolex Day-Date? I'll give you 3 reasons why I think the Rolex Day-Date is a must-buy. The first one is that it can go head-to-head with any watch there is. Take this situation, you find yourself in an event where people are wearing the Patek Nautilus, the Calatrava, the Vacheron Constantin Overseas, Patrimony, some Breguets, Blancpains, IWCs here and there, and you show up in a Rolex Day-Date. You are guaranteed to get the same respect and attention as the others. The Day-Date is a symbol of success. In fact, those who have the other watches which I mentioned would likely also have a Day-Date in their collection. The second reason is that it's a Rolex. Need I say more? It's of the best quality, it's classy, and it's versatile. The watch will also last you hundreds of years. Finally, the Day-Date is exponentially easier to buy than the stainless steel Rolex models from the standpoint of availability. While we've seen a considerable increase in the demand for the Day-Date, it is still much easier to obtain at the authorized dealer. The only barrier now is the steep SRP price. For context, let's compare the price of this watch to other watches which you probably won't be able to get at your authorized dealer due to the demand. The stainless steel Patek Philippe Nautilus retailed for 1.770 prior to its discontinuation, but the price of the watch can be seen at least 5 million in the secondary markets. The stainless steel Rolex Daytona retails for 777,000, but you will see it at the secondary market for at least 2.3 million pesos. And finally, the stainless steel Audemars Piguet Royal Oak retails for over 1.1 million, but you'll find the watch at the secondary market for 2 million and above. I would also like to share that I believe that gold watches will be making a comeback. The explosion of prices in the stainless steel department will top out somewhere. And while everyone is concentrating on getting a steel grail watch, I suggest that you start picking up gold watches while they're still relatively affordable and while there are available units at the authorized dealers. Here are some of the top business leaders in the Philippines who have been spotted wearing a Rolex Day-Date. The first is Oscar Lopez of the Lopez Group. Second and third are the late Benny Tantoco Sr. and his son Rico Tantoco Jr. The next is Lucio Tan of the LT Group. Next one is Alberto Lina of Air 21. Then we have Robert Go of Prince Retail and Dr. Henry Chusoy of the Henan Resorts Group. Let's take one more look at the Rolex Day-Date, and it's an absolutely beautiful piece. If you have the chance and you have the means and you don't have this watch yet, you should seriously consider it, as it will tick all of the boxes. Perhaps the only downside which I can see from this model is that its weight is a bit heavy for other people, but other than that, it's extremely durable, reliable, it's classic, it's beautiful, and it's stunning. The Rolex Day-Date indeed deserves a spot in everyone's collection. That is it for our episode today. Leave us a comment below on what you think about the Rolex Day-Date, on whether you like it or not, and let us know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and continue to join me watch the watches.